Hey, don't cry. I went to Mad at You Island and there were a bunch of survivors of a plane crash there. Welcome to Lost All Caps.
That's brilliant, I love that.
Thank you. I've been sitting on that one for a while. I thought of it a while ago and I was like...
On Mad at You Island. Jin is certainly on Mad at You Island today.
Absolutely he is. So I'm Ariel.
And I'm Velvet.
And...
This is episode 17 in translation.
Yeah, I mean we've had a pretty fun week since we've last spoken to you.
Yeah, we've had an amazing week.
At the time of recording.
So this, I mean, I guess this gives you an idea of the time frame in between recording.
Little peek behind the curtain for you all.
So as of right now, last night was my drag debut.
Yeah!
It was amazing. It went really, really well. It was with the Glitterfy creature feature slot. Who, they're an amazing, like, stage for drag queens. They do a special slot every show that platforms new drag.
Absolutely, if you're in Manchester, go along. We're giving them a free plug right now.
We had such a good night.
So much fun.
Regardless of the fact that I was performing, like everyone else was incredible.
Yeah.
I had such a good time. And yeah, I had a really good time performing my act. And yeah, definitely
so proud of you.
Going again in the future.
It was amazing. It was so good.
Yeah, follow me at gar.lick.brad.
Absolutely. And meanwhile, I, this week, have had one of the worst gigs ever, so...
Everyone had, like, the worst gig of our life.
It was bad. So, you know, it's all going great in the Hebditch household.
Yeah,
maybe we're, like...
highs and lows.
Yes, symbiotically linked.
I was going to say it's an equilibrium.
Yeah.
You had to have a really shit gig so I could have
a good one. Yeah.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
You're welcome. And it was a big one. Oh, it's so good. Love being a stand-up comedian. No, I do. This is the thing. I also have some big news.
Yeah.
Big Lost-related news.
Big Lost news.
I'm going on a plane.
Yes, I know. Everyone's
Next
going on a plane, like
week.
3 days, something like that.
Literally insane. It's crept up on me so fast. Me and my dad have planned a little holiday. Going to Ireland. I feel like I can say that I'm going on holiday because this is going to be released in like 6 months' time.
By the time this comes.
So, you know, I'm excited and nervous to be going on a plane for the first time. It's literally like Manchester to Ireland is about half an hour.
Oh, it's like
45 minutes.
Flight, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't think there's any possibility of crashing on an island.
I feel like it would be an impressive feat if the island could fit in that section of ocean.
Well, I feel like there is a little Isle of Man or something.
Yeah, but
That's probably completely incorrect geography. Sorry to our Isle of Man listeners.
I don't know how big the island is, but I imagine it's bigger than the small section of sea in between England and Ireland.
Possibly. Yeah.
I don't know. If anyone's got a map, if anyone's figured that out, there'll be dimensions of the island somewhere online, I'm sure.
Oh, my days.
We'll figure it out.
I hope so. But here's the thing. So for the goof, I told Dad to book row 23 on the plane.
Oh my god!
Because that's the row that Jack's sitting on. But now I'm starting to freak out. I'm like...
Oh my god, you're tempting fate.
I am tempting fate. This might be the last ever episode of the podcast because I might become stranded on a desert island.
It'll become like me trying to figure out what's going on with
It's a true crime podcast.
It'll become a true Lost podcast.
True Lost podcasting.
It's a great episode.
It's a good one.
This one is incredible. This I genuinely think would go in like top 10.
I think so too.
Apart from the Saeed and Shannon stuff.
Look,
let's get it out of the way now. Neither of us enjoy Saeed and Shannon.
Every episode has its downfall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are so many plot lines. Actually, I don't know if I agree with that. Not every episode. Some episodes it's like banger, 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 banger. Like all the plot lines are great. But more often than not, that one of the 4+ plot lines in an episode is gonna be a bit shit.
The thing is like something I've come to appreciate kind of this time around.
Mm-hmm.
And in this episode especially, is I do appreciate the sort of I'm not going to say poetic, like symbolic, like the sort of narrative significance of Saeed and Shannon as a relationship, right? Because it's like Shannon thinks she's completely useless, and so she's like, she needs someone to do everything for her. And the point of what's different about her relationship with Saeed is that he's like, actually, you're completely capable.
Yes.
And that's like part of her being free from Boone is thinking that she can do things for herself and he doesn't have to like.
Yeah, but why does she need a man to tell her that?
But first of all, why does she need a man to tell her that? And secondly, it's just written so badly.
Yeah.
Like, this is my issue with it. It's just, I think Shannon as a whole is a badly written character.
Yeah.
Because I think she has the potential to have a lot of depth and she just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she just falls into all the stereotypes of like the mean bitchy girl, and she could have a lot more going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, genuinely, I have one of my notes, I've just written who the fuck wrote this. Because, like, it's really just, the dialogue is so cringe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, like, it's also, like, high school-y. You know? Everything they say to each other. And I'm like, this is, like, you're a grown adult, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because, like, we always joke about how, like, Jack is not smooth at all. And he's got no riz. But, like, I feel like Saeed has riz, but he's just...
Not in this case.
Not in this case.
Not only is it really weird, like, because Shannon's not a very well-written character, but also, like, Saeed is really out of character in the way he behaves. In this. Like, I don't know, it just strikes me as really odd. Everything that I'm like, first of all, the whole, like, going to Boone to ask for permission.
Oh my god.
I know that the point of that is he's like, oh, I was extending a courtesy, not asking your permission, whatever. But it's like, all the dialogue in that scene is completely insane.
That scene is possibly the worst thing about Saeed and Shannon's relationship.
Yeah.
That's the thing that it stuck out to me in my memory. I was like, oh my god, it's that scene. And the fact that it happens in this episode is really pissing me off.
I thought it was in Hearts and Minds.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't, and I was like, oh, okay, it must be later then.
Yeah, because this is an absolutely banging episode, but then it's got one of my least favourite scenes in the whole show because it's just so cringe. And it's like, oh, like, you know, I'm not asking for permission. Why are you going to speak to him then?
Yeah, it's all very weird.
It doesn't make any sense. Why is the scene there? What, just so that Boone can bitch about Shannon?
And be a little bit racist.
He's being racist?
Yeah, he says, like, oh, is this a Middle Eastern thing? You're asking for my blessing?
Oh, yeah!
And I'm like, okay, Boone.
I wrote down, God fucking help me. Like,
yeah.
I'm the worst scene in all caps.
It's bad.
It's bad. I mean... There are worse scenes in later plot lines
in the show.
But I would say in season 1 it's got to be one of the worst scenes. It's just fucking hell.
So many issues with it. So many problems from a narrative perspective, but also it's just from a feminist perspective, it's not great.
No.
It's all this is actually, I would say, because I said this in Hearts and Minds, when we were talking about that one, I said there's like no indication at any point before or after the one scene that there's anything going on between Boone and Shannon that isn't siblings who hate each other. I would say this scene is the one scene where there's any kind of vague suggestion towards it.
Yes, he's definitely speaking about her like a kind of ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Or at least he's jealous, at the very least.
Yeah.
You know?
But also, like, that makes it worse.
Yes.
You know?
Of course it does! Because they are siblings!
And also, like, I'm like, Saeed, he doesn't know that, presumably.
Yeah, he doesn't even know!
So, like, he's going to Boone to be like, I'm gonna date your sister, and Boone is like, my sister,
just so you know,
who I'm in love with.
She's gonna treat you like shit. And it's like Saeed is slowly backing away from the situation.
Saeed's like, we don't have time to unpack all of that. He's like, okay, so you're insane, and I'm just gonna walk away. So yeah, well, okay, we've gotten that out of the way.
Yeah, let's talk about the good stuff in the episode. Let's talk about the great stuff.
Because actually, you say that this is a worse scene. That's the worst scene in the season. I actually think this episode has possibly one of my favourite moments of the whole show in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's going to be the moment you're thinking of.
Oh, because I've got a multiple.
Because I know which bits are your favourite in this episode.
Let's just begin by saying, I feel like I should admit this, you know, in the interest of being open, you know, to you listeners. I have a confession.
Mm-hmm.
It took me an embarrassingly long time.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
To realise that the title was supposed to be Lost in Translation.
That's so obvious. I need you to know that it's literally ... in translation.
Look, I can see that now. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I just thought it was called In Translation. I just thought it was called, because in translation is also a phrase.
I mean, I can understand that. Yes, in translation is also a phrase.
And I didn't really clock the ... I don't know if I didn't notice them or if I just was like, okay, you know, Slay Queen, sure.
I mean, to be fair, they do a lot of weird things with the episode titles in this show, so like, I wouldn't put it past them to put a random ... in the middle of an episode, but also it's like really obvious that it's supposed to be Lost in Translation.
Look, I can see that now. The title of the show is Lost, so if you were writing it down, it would be like Lost : in translation. But I just thought it was called In Translation. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, it's I needed to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
I needed to admit that, I think, for my own.
In regards to the In Translation, this isn't relevant to the episode really, but I feel it's worth mentioning that today our DVD player broke a little bit, and so all of the Korean scenes were also subtitled in German.
Yeah.
So we got like the English at the bottom of the screen and the German at the top of the screen, but there were no German subtitles on all the English bits.
Yeah, it was really weird. I don't know why it did that. And also,
just needed us to know.
When I started playing the disc, it showed us all of the like French voice actor credits for the French dub.
The dub credits ran for like for a really long time.
A really long time.
Before we could get it to stop and actually play the episode.
So I think
like it's the language symbolism.
Absolutely. You know? It's the translation, you know, it's sort of cursed us a little bit.
It's kind of poetic in a way.
Universal translator malfunction.
Yeah.
Star Trek reference.
Yes. I got that.
Thanks.
So actually, like, one of my favourite moments in this episode is like the very beginning, because we've talked a lot about the kind of artistic use of subtitles and how like it's only like you only get it subtitled when you explicitly need to know what they're saying, and usually when the other characters don't understand, you like don't get the subtitles. But one I really loved is the like very first, not the first scene, but the like first island bit of this episode where Sun's in the bikini and Jin runs over, and it's like the first couple lines of the scene are subtitled, and it's like, what are you doing or whatever, and then like it cuts and you can see Charlie and Claire in the background and the subtitles disappear, and I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. Because
it's like they don't... Yeah.
It shifts our perspective, doesn't it?
As soon as you see the characters who don't speak Korean, the subtitles are gone.
Yeah. It's like we're now no longer sort of fly on the wall over the top of Jin and Sun. We are...
one of the,
you know, Kate's Jack, Charlie, yeah, and we're watching, and yeah, so I think that is really clever. So I'd say the televisography of this episode is really fucking good,
really brilliant. Yeah.
Like, I really appreciated today how artistically and artfully and like well crafted all of the shots are.
Yeah.
You know, apart from that weird random one where like Jin's running up the flight of stairs and it's like a really low and extreme tilt for some reason.
Yeah, that one was a bit strange.
Was a bit odd. That was an odd choice. But other than that, it slays. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into the flashbacks right now, but I just want to say how fucking gagged I was when we first watched this. Like, literally, because we have this whole thing of you get your like flashbacks for every character, and by the time we've reached this point in the series, we have had flashbacks for most of the characters, right? Almost all of them. Yeah. And we've started having multiple flashbacks for some of the characters, you know. We've had what? We've had
more than one flashback for Charlie, for Jack, for Sawyer, for Kate.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we've done it all now. You think we've had Jin and Sun's flashbacks, but what we really had were Sun's flashbacks.
And this is
Jin's episode. Blew my fucking mind. I was like, oh my god.
No, I think it's so brilliant.
So good.
Because it's like, oh, this is just the second Jin and Sun episode. And then the more it goes on, the more you're like, oh no, what we saw before was just Sun's story and this is Jin's story.
Yes. Because what does Lost love to do? Humanize a villain. Let's go. Come on. In the first instance, we're like, Jin is a piece of shit. We love Sun. We're completely on Sun's side.
She should have run
away. He's just sort of this villainous figure who's kind of looming in the background. But now we realise the complexities.
I love Jin as a character. I'm so fascinated by him. I think he's so interesting as a villain, and in the way that he kind of behaves and the way that he kind of carries himself following this episode. Oh, it's incredible. You're in for such a treat.
So juicy and incredible. I love Jin. And it's annoying as well because up until this point in the podcast, we can't really be like, I love Jin. Jin's nice. Like, we see that he was nice in the past.
Yeah.
But like, he's so awful on the island. So we can't talk about how much we love Jin because he's a horrible character. But now you understand, dear listeners, you understand. He's the best. He's great. He's such a really interesting character.
He's just so interesting in the way that he like is, and so much stuff about the way that he like is in the flashbacks and like on Island is just like so fascinating and so cool. And like actually, there was one moment, I think it was with Hurley when he's doing the golf. Where Hurley says like, oh fine, like you want to be an outsider, go for it. And I thought that I really liked that because it like directly parallels Jin and Sawyer. And I have like a whole thing locked and loaded about Jin and Sawyer as characters in parallel, but I won't get into that because it'll spoil a lot of the show. But like that is a moment that I really like because it like directly draws them into comparison. And what you see is that actually you want to be an outsider, fine, go ahead. What Sawyer's response to that kind of treatment is to completely isolate himself and be like, yeah, okay, I will be on the outside because I've made you all hate me. Whereas Jin, like, still goes, he tries not to be that outsider, you know?
Yeah, because it's also like, because of the language barrier, it's not that he wants everyone to hate him. It's just that he just
can't talk to anyone.
He can't talk to anyone. And also, of course, he does isolate himself and Sun to a degree because he's very protective of her and he's like, we don't need to be around these people.
Yeah.
But he also does try and integrate himself. And also, like, that golf scene is before he tries to stop the raft from burning.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think the fact that he tried, like, it goes to show a lot of this episode kind of how much actually we've all, like, as viewers and also as characters, just kind of underestimated what Jin is aware of. Because you kind of assume, like, oh, he doesn't speak English, he doesn't really know what's going on. But it's like, actually, he has a lot of awareness of what's happening.
Absolutely. And he's not an idiot. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think he's very smart and he understands more than they think how they perceive him.
Yeah. And, like, I think, he's clearly obviously been trying to learn, like, English. He's, like, picked up some of what they're saying as well. Like, he knows their names and he knows, like, you know, when he tries to speak at the end and it's like, he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Also, we know how he can fish now. Isn't that good?
I thought we already knew that he was a fisherman from a fisherman's family.
I mean, I think it might have been mentioned in passing in Sun's episode.
Guys, it's hard to keep track, okay?
But, like, that's... Because I remember being like, oh, but he's like a... You know, he wears a suit and he does business things and he hits people. How is he a fisherman? But then we see his dad. Big up Jin's dad.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of... I don't remember his name. I don't even know where to start.
I don't know where... Literally, I'm sat here going, I feel like I look at this episode completely wholly. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing the whole thing. It's really hard to put it into linear. Sorry, I'm chatting shit. That's cool.
What you have from House of the Rising Sun is you have this like dichotomy of like Jin in the past is nice and Jin in the present is bad. Mm-hmm. And obviously when you look at it from his perspective, it's a lot more of a progression. Mm-hmm. And like, but like I think it's very subtle in like, you know, like when Jin first goes to like deliver the message and the guy, I can't remember, he's like a government.
Yeah,
he's like a foreign secretary or something.
I think he was the secretary for environmental something.
Right. Yeah. Well, anyway,
I'm guessing it's like an environmental thing because he's a car manufacturer.
Oh yeah, and he's stopping the factory being built. Yeah. Okay. I wrote that down also, car company, because I've never known until today what Mr. Quick's business
You never picked up on that?
No. I was always just like, well, he does seedy things.
Yeah, he's just like a shady kind of
rich guy. I never really knew what he did. But like when the government guy anyway, like when he really freaks out and he's like, no, please don't, you know, Jin looks so scared. And that was when I was like, it's just a little thing. But it's like, that's when you realise like actually he's not like, all this anger is because he's really scared of the situation he's gotten himself into, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Day Kim is such an incredible actor.
Oh my god.
And in that scene particularly, I really noticed how like, sort of, he's very polite and very human and very normal, you know what I mean? Like, when he answers the door, he's just like, my name is Jin-Soo Kwon, do you know what I mean? He's not like, you don't need to know.
So like, I have a message.
Or anything like that, do you know what I mean? And it's like, he's just trying to have a human, normal connection and conversation with this guy, and when he offers him the dog, he's like, I can't take your dog, you know? And it's like, it's so heartbreaking to see how he is forced into being
to, like,
someone else.
That part of himself.
Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, you know, the reason he becomes so aggressive in that second time is to save the man's life.
It's still out of a almost kindness.
Almost,
because it's like, it's either that or the guy shoots it.
Which is why I think it's actually a quite nice parallel with Kate in that moment, because, you know, we see like Kate, you know, she's on the run, we know she's committed murder, or she's killed at least
the man she killed, whatever that means.
But she still like saves the farmer from the burning car, and in the plane crash she puts the oxygen mask on the marshal's face, even though he's been tailing her his whole life and everything, and he wouldn't do the same for her or whatever.
She puts her own.
Yeah. And I think that scene where Jin's beating up the guy reminds me of Kate.
Absolutely, yeah. And that it's that, like, they're, like, evil, but there's still that evil, so to speak, you know, in air quotes, but, like, there's still that kindness.
Yeah, or at least it's, like, it's very complicated, and it's also, like, the rules are different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, in the first scene, he's following the rules of normal, polite society, all of the rules that we as human beings have to navigate, you know, saying sorry and please and everything that we know is how we connect and as human beings and interact. But in the second one, it's like, this is a different world. This is not the regular world. Do you know what I mean? It's a world of organised crime. And Kate's kind of in that world as well, like, you know, when she shoots the bank robbers and stuff, you know, it's violent, and of course it's horrible, because like when he first goes to see the guy, he says he's got to deliver a message. The guy obviously knows what that means, and he goes, not in front of my daughter, please. But it is in front of his daughter the second time, and we see a close-up of that girl's face, and she, you know, she's crying and screaming, and it's like, Jin has done that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Jin has not afforded that man the courtesy that he asked for in the past.
And also that, when you draw that in parallel with when Jin saw Michael wearing the watch and he starts beating him up.
Yes!
And Walt is watching him and shouting like, no, get away from him.
Yes! Oh my god, that blew my mind as well, especially today, because that scene is like in parallel with Michael going after Jin on the beach, and Walt's right there.
Yeah.
Walt's watching
and
the whole thing.
If anything, freaks Walt out more,
yes!
doesn't it? Because he's now like, oh, so my dad's capable of
yes! That. Oh my days. The fucking televisography.
Everything's connected.
The parallels between the flashbacks and the on-island stuff are some of the best in the whole show.
For sure.
I think. Like,
they're so good. And like, all I have to say is like the book talkers who are all like, oh, my morally grey villain book. You guys would not survive. This is what morally grey is.
You could not handle Jin-Soo Kwon.
This is what morally grey
That's
means.
so real, actually.
Because morally grey in book talk always just means like he kills people sometimes, but actually he's really also really romantic. It's like, oh, he kills people because they threatened his girl or whatever. This is what morally grey means. Yeah. It's Kate and it's Jin and it's Sawyer and it's people like that.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, he is doing it all for Sun.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess in a sense he is, yeah.
Which is why it's so heartbreaking, because especially that last scene where he's talking to his dad about his marriage, and it's like, he does it all for her, but they don't talk to each other anymore.
And so she doesn't know. She, like, from her perspective, and it really twists, like, it's like an unreliable narrator when you look back at Sun's flashbacks, because it's like, from her perspective, he's just turned into this horrible, controlling husband, and none of her old partner is in there. But what we can see is that when he goes to see his dad, that's like very soon before the plane. Yeah. And he's still there, you know?
Absolutely, he is.
But he just hasn't been able to communicate that to her because he doesn't want her to hate her dad.
Yeah, he's trying to protect her from all of the horrible things that her dad does. And I think that, combined with having to experience those horrors himself and not being able to talk to anyone about it, is what has turned him into such a, like, horrible and possessive person that we see on the island.
Yeah, and I think it's, like, also because it's, like, the only good thing in his life is Sun at this point. And so, of course, he wants to protect that.
But why doesn't he treat her right then?
But why doesn't he treat her nicely? I know!
Oh, don't answer the phone!
It's all so tangled up.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, when she makes him dinner, it's like, we're gonna have a nice romantic evening, and he's like, turn the phone off, you know?
Yeah.
But then it's like, we as viewers are terrified of Sun's dad. Because he's scary, you know?
He's horrifying.
He's a great actor as well.
He's brilliant.
Oh my gosh.
He's a very good actor. He's a horrible character.
He's a horrible, horrible man. And it's like,
yet another person who has a terrible dad.
Oh my god, this really is the daddy issues show, honestly.
Yeah.
That one sort of throwaway bit where Walt says to John, do you have a dad? Is he cool? And John's like, no, he's not cool.
I'm like...
It's like, there is not a single person on this island.
This is the daddy issues show.
Who does not have daddy issues.
It's like, even like Jin's dad is really lovely, but he's like ashamed of him, and he tells people that he's dead because he can't.
Oh my god, and that's horrible, isn't it? Yeah. Oh man. Jin's backstory.
Jin, dude.
But yeah, my point was going to be, I'd answer the phone in that situation.
Yeah.
Because you're
like, he'll kill me.
He'll kill me, yeah. Or fire me, or say that I have to divorce Sun or something. You know, like, yeah, he's gotten himself.
It's awful, because obviously Sun is like, you care more about work than you do about me, but it's like, well, no, and I think, like, Sun doesn't really, or at least from our perspective, I don't know how much Sun knows about her dad's, like, business, but, like, until Jin comes home all covered in blood, like, she doesn't,
because she's so surprised, isn't she? She's like, what do you do for my father?
And so it's like, she, doesn't know that the reason why he's going off and answering the phone is because her dad is such a scary person.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. I think what we need to do... Look, you know that on this podcast, we don't always go in chronological order. We vibe it out. Mm-hmm. However, I think the way in which the flashbacks appear chronologically in this episode, it makes me want to kind of talk about the on-island stuff at the same time as we're talking about the individual flashbacks.
Okay.
'Cause
So
I
are
wanna
you
talk
saying
about
you want to rewind back to the beginning?
Parallels, yes.
Okay.
So we start with an eye. Not an eye-opening shot, just a shot of his eye.
I already opened, which
I
is
already
something we
opened.
had with Michael.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Jin Michael parallels.
Yes. Parallel number 1.
Parallel number 1.
Keep a tally going. Guys, come on.
Jin and
Pay
Michael
attention.
already had. I'm going to make a tally.
Make a little tally. Parallel 1. Eyes open. Yeah, and then we've talked about the scene with on the beach.
The bikini, yeah.
Yeah.
That actually comes, we get Jin on the beach first, and then we get the first flashback. Then it's Sun in the bikini, right?
Yes. And the
And I
first
think that's
flashback
cool.
is...
It's Jin asking for the job with Mr. Pike, which we've already seen from the other perspective, because we saw him come out of the office and tell Sun that they could get married as long as he worked for him.
It is so fucking clever. Do you know what? Not only do we need to do parallels within the episode, we need to play House of the Rising Sun alongside this.
Like, I would love to see all of, like, these two flashbacks put in chronological order.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That'd be so fascinating, wouldn't it?
That would be fantastic, because, yeah, we see it's so obvious now that we're seeing it all from Sun's perspective, because we only get the outside, and literally outside of the building.
Yeah.
Like, she's not even in there.
And it's like,
when
in
it's all
us watching
happening.
this scene, we know he gets that job, and we know what he does.
Mm-hmm. But now we see, like, how he negotiates it, and how it's him saying that she is my dream is, like, what wins him over.
I have actually... We have parallels with House of the Rising Sun, also parallels with other media, because I have She Is My Dream, OK Tangled written down here.
Oh, fucking hell.
They're
I thought
just
we
like
would
in
be
Tangled.
safe from talking about goddamn Tangled on this podcast.
But it's just like in Tangled. Ariel hasn't seen it for a while, so I'm going to explain. Jesus Christ. Because also, you dear listener, might not have seen it. If you haven't, go watch it. It's a great film. So yeah, in Tangled, Rapunzel's dream is to see the lights on her birthday, the lanterns, and then Flynn Rider takes her to see the lanterns, and she's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life after this. This was my dream. And he's like, well, you just have to find a new dream, I guess. And she's like, yeah, okay. And then they sing like the romantic song, you know. And she ends up back in the tower, and then right at the end, Flynn... It doesn't matter why, but Flynn gets stabbed. And as he's like dying, he says to her, you were my new dream. And she says, and you were mine. And then she uses her magic to heal him, and then they get married.
Okay.
So
it's the cringe version of this.
No. What it is very similar. But I think it's really nice that that's used. That She Is My Dream is like his justification, because that's like, you know, Mr. Pike, obviously what he loves more than anything is his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so no matter what he throws at Jin can just be like, well, I'm doing everything for her, you know, so you can't catch me out.
Yeah.
With your little like, oh, you're going to give up your ambition so easily? He's like, yeah, because I love your daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I think in a very distant way, we see how Sun's dad loves her.
Yes. I think so, and I think it comes through in the way that Sun talks about him as well. Because, like, I know we're skipping forward a little bit, but in, like, the wedding scene, like, she says, like, you know, well, I know his business is important, but I'm his daughter, and I'm important too, and, like, he'll let you have that time off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it does come through, but just he's obviously a very morally corrupt man.
Yeah, and
so the way in which he loves her is...
I mean, if we see that Jin's job is taking over his personal life and his marriage, then I can't imagine
what it's done to her dad.
What their household looked like growing up.
Oh my god, I don't want to...
We've not met Sun's mum yet, have we?
We have not met Sun's mum.
So we don't know what the deal is with her, or if she's even around, but... Yeah. I can't imagine she's having a good time.
Can't imagine it was a cozy household to grow up in.
And I also just want to quickly talk about back to House of the Rising Sun. Remember guys, this is flashback to our House of the Rising Sun episode of this podcast, where I talked about how I often think that slapping scenes in TV, they sometimes look bad.
Yes.
Because people don't really slap each other in real life.
It's always a very feminine thing.
Yes.
I find, historically, especially with Lost, it's like a woman will slap a man, but the men will punch each other.
Yes. That's across every media.
Across a lot of media, but
think.
I think because of the amount of fighting that's done in Lost,
it's
really
obvious.
is very obvious.
Yeah. Apart from Kate.
Kate and her headbutting, I was just going to say.
Apart from Kate and her headbutting, of course. But I often think that, like, yeah, I don't like when, like, characters slap each other because it often feels very sexist, as you were saying, and it also often looks kind of shitty. Like, the person will react like, oh, you know,
yeah,
like...
I feel like either to a slap, a person will react really extremely or they won't react
at all. Yes.
And it's like, neither of them look good.
No,
you know?
No, they never really do. However, I think Sun is the slap master.
Yeah.
She's really good, because when she slaps Michael, I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I talked about this...
crazy, because it's like Michael's trying to protect her, and we know as viewers that he's trying to protect her because he knows, you know, Jin has a bad temper, like Sun said that to him, and it's like he is trying to save her, and then she suddenly sides with him. It's like, when we were talking about, you know, Daniel Day-Kim being a great actor, Harold Perrineau in that scene, his facial expression, it's brilliant. There's just so much going on in the way he reacts to that. It's like, and I love that, like, he reacts really extremely, and often all the other characters are like, Michael, calm down. You know, it's not that serious. And he's like, no, it is that serious, because he knows, you know? Absolutely.
But yeah, so I said, like, in House of the Rising Sun, I think when Sun slaps Jin in that flashback, which we get to see again and we're going to be talking in great length about later on, it's done really well, and I think it's done really well here, and I also, like, completely get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get why she slaps Michael.
Yeah.
Even though he's trying to help.
If he keeps defending her, Jin's just going to go after him, and, like, Jin is already, as we can see in their private conversations, Jin keeps being like, why does Michael protect you so much? Like, what's going on? And so she's like, I need to get away from him.
She's protecting herself as well, isn't she? Because if she thinks that there's something romantic, if Jin thinks that there's something romantic, oh my god, I'm dying over here.
She's so complicated.
If Jin thinks that there's something romantic going on between Michael and Sun, he's going to take it out on Michael, but he will also take it out on Sun. And so she's protecting herself by showing Jin that she is committed to him, and she, you know, she's respects her husband even if that's not true. That's what the action demonstrates to him. And that there's nothing going on between her and Michael.
Yeah.
But it is a bit of a crazy scene.
It's a wild scene. Should I put that down as parallel number 2? The slapping?
Absolutely. So then we get the titles.
Then we get a title scene. Then we have what I've seen I like to call emotionally regulating with golf.
Yeah, and then we've also got the wedding flashback.
Yes.
In and around here. I think it's slightly before the golf, or either I just wrote it before. But this is a cute little scene. You know,
I love it. It's very sweet. There's a very fun outtake of this scene where Daniel Day-Kim, like, leans in to do the line that's like, "Can I speak to my wife?" And he, like, gets halfway through the words and then just goes like, "Nope, sorry," and then leaves again. It's really funny because he, like, switches out of the Korean really quickly. Yeah, it is a hilarious outtake. But I meant to say, there was an episode a while ago where we mentioned that the actor Daniel Day-Kim did not speak Korean beforehand and learnt Korean for this role. Yes.
I just want to rectify, revise that statement, fact check that statement. That was told to me by our dad, and so I just believed him, but then I did a little Googling.
We've since been educated.
We've since learnt. It is somewhat true. Daniel Day-Kim, he did speak Korean in his childhood, but he primarily spoke English in later life. And so he kind of had to relearn the language
he kind of
very
learned
quickly
it again for
the role. So it was obviously a huge commitment, to be like relearning this language that he kind of hasn't spoken for many, many years, and he doesn't speak very well.
To then play a character who entirely speaks that language.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not even like with Sun, she can speak English. Jin has to just speak Korean.
Exactly. But obviously what stuck out to like Dad from wherever he heard that from, an interview or whatever, is, did you know he learnt Korean for the role, So yeah, just revising that. But yeah, I still think it is wild.
Incredible.
But you couldn't cast anyone else.
No, I mean, he's perfect. And then we have a brilliant scene between Kate and Sun on Island.
Girls, girl.
I've literally written down girls, girl here. Kate.
I think I wrote down okay lesbians, I can't lie. That, it felt very
It's quite intimate, isn't it? Because it's like in the dark tent.
Yeah, silhouettes. Like, at the end of this episode, when we get the Saeed and Shannon kiss, that's done in silhouette. Where was our Kate and Sun kiss?
Romance.
So write down two parallels for that one. Two.
And I love that scene because I love how no nonsense Kate is about it. She's like, how long are you gonna let him treat you like that? It's brilliant.
Oh, I know, but she doesn't understand.
Like she's so, she's clearly just so worried about her.
I get it from Kate's perspective because she's a girl's girl. And she's like...
I think also Kate sort of treats the situation with a little bit more care, I think, than Michael does. Because then, like, later on, when Michael starts really going off on Jin, Kate's kind of like, okay, take a step back. She's like, consider the implications of your actions.
Mm-hmm. But Kate doesn't know that Michael knows that Sun speaks English.
Does she?
I don't think so.
That scene was brilliant. I thought the way it was shot sort of in the dark, also it was very like secret, which was really good. It was like...
And then you get people starting running in the background. That was fun. So so we've got the raft squad in this episode as well. The raft is shaping up nicely, Michael's doing his like... bits of the fuselage.
Yeah, Michael seems to be very... I mean, we know he's an architect, but, like, it really comes out.
And then we find out that Sawyer has, like, bought his spot on the raft.
He's giving him supplies, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, like, I always find the fact that Sawyer's really desperate to get away really interesting. Because it's like, he doesn't seem like one of the characters who has a whole lot waiting for him.
No, but I think it's that he can't be a lone wolf here. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has to be a part of the group, and he doesn't like that. He's not really in control, and I think Sawyer likes to be in control. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, when he's running his comms, it's like, I'm controlling the situation. Whereas on the island, he's
completely at the mercy of everyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that makes sense.
And also he's very self-serving, isn't he? So he's going to be like, I want the spot on that raft over everyone else.
Get away.
He's not going to sacrifice his spot for anybody. Do you know what I mean? But interesting that that's not common knowledge to the group, Yeah. Like, Jack's going, people are talking about who you're going to let on the raft and stuff.
Yeah. No, and I think it's interesting that Michael doesn't really like... That whole conversation to me was really interesting in like how the kind of diplomacy communication works within the characters, because it's like Jack obviously has been designated leader, but no one's been like, it's Michael's in charge of choosing who goes on the raft because it's Michael's raft. No one's been like, Jack, who's gonna go? No one's assumed Jack's gonna go.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. I didn't consider that.
Like, Jack makes no indication that he's very much like, he has to stay because he's in charge. Yeah. And, like, I think the way that Jack, it's almost like a leader to leader. People want to know who you're going to let on,
but also, like, from my perspective, if I was in the crash and I considered Jack to be our leader, I might want him to go on the raft so that he can go out and find us safety, because I trust him to lead us to safety. But then it's like, practically speaking, we need him to treat the injuries and stuff. He's a doctor.
But it's like, obviously John's going to stay and be the leader in Jack's absence, if he goes. But it's like, Jack never really seems like he wants to.
Yeah.
Like, when he says it, it doesn't seem to be like who's gonna, have you considered me taking me maybe? Like, he's never like, can I come?
Yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't seem particularly, really, like, he obviously wants to get off the island, but he's not, like, massively enthusiastic about being the one who's going. I'm surprised Saeed hasn't tried to get on yet, though, because he's been doing all the technology stuff.
Well, I guess he's too busy, like, flirting with Shannon, isn't he? So
Shannon can't come. He's not going. When
you were saying that, though, about, like, it's Michael makes the decisions because he's the one who made the raft, it made me think about, remember in, like, primary school when you would be playing and someone would go, yeah, can I join? Oh, it's not my game.
It's not my game, you have to ask her. Can I go on the raft? It's not my raft.
It's not my game. It's not my...
It's not my raft, you have to ask Michael.
What a time that was.
What an era.
I
had something of yours. I don't remember what it was. It was like a lip balm, or we'd been given the wrong juice boxes in our lunch boxes, something like that. And I was like, well, I'll go find you on the playground at lunchtime and give it to you. And you were on, like, you know those weird, like, it was like a Target. It's like spray painted into every every, like, playground.
Let's address that, actually.
What's the Target?
What's supposed to be happening there? Curling?
What game are you supposed to be playing there?
Playground curling?
And you were in the middle, and all your friends were, like, running around the outside, and I tried to step on it, and you were like, no, don't. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? And then you went, like, stop, and everyone stopped moving, and then you ran towards me and took the thing, and then ran back again, and then went, like, go, and you were doing some kind of game where, like, they could only move when you said they could, but it was really confusing from the outside perspective, because I was just trying to give you your juice box or whatever.
Yeah. What the fuck? I don't remember that at all.
I mean, I guess it's not a significant memory from your perspective, is it?
What on earth could we have been playing?
I have no idea.
Ariel's in charge, that's the game.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing.
That's
what I remember from a lot of me and you playing anything as children.
Oh yeah, I was a nightmare. I was a horrible child to be around.
Really nightmarish to play games with as a kid.
Yeah. Just a massive control freak, basically.
Yep. I remember it well.
Anyway, back to a banging episode.
Back to Lost. We were talking about the raft being on fire. I love the dramatic John panning shot.
He's just, like, watching it, isn't he?
Yeah, like, everyone's running and he's just like, oh, it's too late for that.
Yeah, because I think you're supposed to think that maybe he did it.
Yeah,
I had an inkling.
He doesn't want people to leave the island.
Well, he certainly doesn't want to leave himself.
No. But I was just like...
And also he's a bit nefarious, isn't he?
Yeah, I was just like, what is he doing? And then I now realise, like, of course it's because he knows...
He saw Walt do it. Yeah. Or he deduced it, but I think he probably
he saw. Because I think, like, even though, like, Michael said that, like, John and Walt couldn't hang out anymore, I think John's still kind of been trying to keep an eye on him, because he's like, Walt, you're, special, you've got magic, whatever, so he's trying to, monitor or whatever.
Also, I wouldn't be surprised if John never slept.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as, like, he's like, in D&D, if you're an elf, you don't sleep, you just meditate for like 2 hours, and that gives you a long rest, which is essentially a night's sleep.
Oh yeah.
That's what John does to me.
That's so funny, because in the Christmas movie Elf, the whole thing is that they don't sleep. They sleep for like 40 minutes.
I think it might be just a thing that elves don't sleep. I don't know.
Elf lore.
But it's really funny, because on, this is a tangent, but on Baldur's Gate 3, the video game, if you have an elf character, like, in your party, so, like, when you go down for a long rest, it's like the bedrolls come out outside the campfire, and if you have one of the elf characters in your party, they, like, sit with their, like, holding their hands up, and then it goes, like, you click long rest, and they lay down flat on their backs with their fingers in, like, a meditative position, just on their knees, and shut their eyes, and it looks really stupid.
And you have to just watch them sleep?
Well, no, then, like, sometimes you have, like, a cutscene at night, sometimes you have, like, dreams.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you'll have, like, a dream, or, like, there's one where, like, because Astarian's a vampire, and so, like, the, like, second night at camp, he, like, tries to drink your blood in your sleep, and then you wake up and he's like, oh shit, okay, well, I'm a vampire.
So, like, watch your sim sleep.
Wait until the morning.
I've
it's
never
not like
really excelled at playing The Sims
No,
because
I didn't really
it stresses
get it.
me out. It stresses me out. The time moves too quickly.
Yeah, there's just too much going on and I can't keep track of it.
And then half of it I'm just bored because I'm just watching my sim sleep.
I don't really get it. So if we're talking flashbacks, after the raft is on fire, we get the, according to my notes at least, we get the flashback where Jin goes to deliver the message.
Yes.
So, so when Mr. Pike says to him, deliver this message, tell him I'm very disappointed in you, was Jin supposed to infer that means kill the man?
Yes. I know,
How
right?
was he supposed to know that?
Ridiculous. But apparently that makes him incompetent because he didn't figure that one out.
That is how it feels to be autistic. I'm like, I did the instructions and it's like, why did you not infer that by I'm very disappointed in you, I actually meant go and kill the man? Everyone else would think that. And I'm like, what do you mean everyone else would think that?
Brilliant.
That's how it feels. Parallel number 5, very cute parallel. We find out where Jin got the dog from.
Yeah, is that a parallel? Or is that just a link?
I'm counting it as a parallel.
Okay.
Because it's like he says that he got the puppy so that to keep her company. But it's like actually it was given to him.
Just fucking took the dog. That's
Took some little girl's dog.
crazy, isn't it? Like his daughter's probably like 5 years old or something, and it's like, no dog for you. We're giving the dog to a random man, stealing that dog. I was like, the dog got snatched. For real.
The dog is also so cute. I just can't.
Jin's just holding the
Jin's
dog.
just like, okay, I guess I have this fat
It
puppy
reminded
now.
me of the you know the iconic screenshot from Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Terry's holding Cheddar and Jake's got the towel over Amy's face.
Yeah, and
It
he's just
reminded
like,
me of that.
so I have.
Just like a really muscly guy holding a dog.
It's just like, so I have a dog now. It's great. The puppy is so cute.
But yes, dear listener, one extra little detail which is very exciting that you might not have picked up on if you weren't carefully
when
looking.
we first watched this, Ariel picked up on it. I didn't notice.
Yes, you gotta
tell you.
have those
Eyes.
eyes open for links and Easter eggs because they do it all the time in the Lost universe, in the show.
In the Lost universe.
In the Lost universe. When that little girl is watching the TV, Hurley is on the TV!
Hurley's on the news.
Yep.
He's getting
just
into
for
a car. It's like literally
second.
1 second.
Yes.
You see, it's like back of the shot for 1 second. It's like Hurley getting into a car, and then it cuts back to the other guy.
Why is Hurley on TV?
What's Hurley on TV for?
In Korea.
After this scene, he's just like slept by a tree on his own? ?
Yeah. That's never really explained, is it? I guess he's just pissed off and he's...
Yeah, I think it's just like everyone's really mad at him. And so he just goes and sleeps in the woods after the... Well, it's like Sun saw him trying to treat
He's like,
his
I need to take a
hand.
walk.
Sun saw him trying to treat his hand, didn't
Oh, yeah.
she? And so I guess he's like, if anyone sees that my hand's burnt, they're gonna assume I've burned the raft. And so his plan is to just hide until his hand gets better, I guess.
At that point as well, we're like... Girl, because like the only reason he didn't tell her in that scene is to keep up the drama and the tension.
Yeah.
From a writer's
Yeah,
perspective.
from the narrative perspective.
But also, I don't know, I found it weird that Michael immediately assumed that Jin did it.
I mean, I think it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you put yourself in the emotional context of Michael, it makes sense because he's like, Jin hates me. And he knows that Jin, like, he's constructed this picture of Jin as this evil, like, horrible man, hasn't he? From the little bits he's gotten from Sun. And so, like, he's, like, within his capabilities. But it's, like, as soon as John says, like, but why would he do that? Michael immediately kind of goes, like, oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, he just can't separate himself from it, you know?
Yeah, I guess. But like, even Jin's behaviour towards Michael is not like a sort of revenge kind of thing.
No.
He's not the
it's
kind of guy...
like, stay away from my wife.
Yeah, he's not the kind of guy to sit there and plot, like, how am I going to get back at him?
But it is really interesting because it's like, when I first watched it, I was like, oh, but it must have been Jin, because who else could it be? Like I really couldn't think of anyone who would have burnt it. Even like, I think that dramatic stare might have supposed to be like, oh, was it John?
I thought it was John.
But I was like, but it must have been Jin. I was like, it doesn't make sense, but like, who else could it have been? And I think like the fact that Walt did it is like a really good, because there's like no indication of that.
Yeah.
Apart from like the bit where he's like, yeah, you're excited to see New York, right? And Walt's like, yeah, sure. Other than that, no indication.
That's a cute little scene, isn't
I like
it?
that
I like that scene.
I like that Michael's Charles trying to be more enthusiastic about.
And it's also a real surprise because, like, we sort of go, oh yeah, Walt's never been to Michael's
New York,
house.
yeah.
He's never been to New York.
You kind of forget that they've never lived together.
Yeah. A little bit of context there. But, wait, I thought I have another parallel.
Jin sleeping in the woods?
Yes. It's giving Saeed. When he tortures Sawyer and then he's like, I have to leave the camp, I can't be around you guys, I'm gonna go on my own quest.
Yes.
Parallel.
I also, parallel, when Sawyer, like, finds Jin by the river and then he's like, you torch the raft and, like, kicks him in the head. I was like, it's giving Ethan.
Yes, the kick in the head, very Ethan.
Very much giving Ethan, and like the way he is towards Jack, but also that it reminded me of when Jin got like slingshotted in the chest for like no reason. And I was like, poor Jin. I mean,
He's gone
imagine
through it.
Being in a situation where someone like Ethan is around and also you have no idea what anyone is saying. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Poor Jin, no wonder he's so freaked out.
So that's another parallel. Wrote it down.
I've tallied that on.
Fantastic. We've got more screen time from our queen, the infinite supply of tarpaulins.
Yes.
Why is Shannon only just building a shelter, like, now?
I think she was probably in Boone's. They were probably together and now she's, like, making her own? Question mark? I won't lie, I just made that up as soon as you asked me why.
Yeah. That was a very yes and moment.
Yeah.
You just went off
yes,
on that.
And she's moving out of Boone's tent.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Boone's moving in with John.
Maybe. Moving into the hatch. They just camp out outside the hatch. They have to stare at it during the night as well. You forget that about the Michelangelo story.
It's all day and all night.
All day, all night.
They do shifts. Your turn to stare at the hatch.
Voluntary for sentry duty. I
think like that the scene with John and Shannon, I actually really like. Oh my god. Because first of all, John is so funny.
He's such a little bitch / pause. Like, I'm so here for the way he's like, should I be writing this down?
He's like, Shannon, girl,
I screamed.
Calm down.
I completely forgot about that. And I was like... literally so funny. It's great.
It's the way he's just like, literally, what are you even angry about? It's like the kind of, it's giving like making up a guy to get mad at, you know, that like thing that's like being online. It's like he's literally just like, girl, if you don't like Boone, don't talk to him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard.
But I can see where she's coming from, because it's like, Boone's getting in all of my business.
And she doesn't want to confront Boone about it, so she's like, I'll go to John because John's Boone's friend. It's like, it's once again, it's very much like kind of teenage logic. It's like, I'll tell his friend to tell him.
Yeah.
But then John is like a 55-year-old man and he's like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, it's giving the separate Snapchat group chats, you know, with the disappearing messages, so you don't know what they've said, but then they like, save the other ones.
Or like making a group chat that's titled like sorting things out. That's what she's doing. Weirdly profound things in random moments this episode. Because his like, everyone gets a new life. And I like, could not
believe... We actually had to pause it today. Because I had to write down so much stuff. I could not believe that is like an iconic quote from Lost. You know, everybody gets a new life here. It's like, not only is it, I probably used in a bunch of previously ons, probably used in a bunch of edits, but it's like a memorable quote and it kind of sums up a lot of the thesis of the show, doesn't it?
It's kind of like moral of the story, everyone gets a new life. Because like that's kind of the whole point is it's like, what if we take all of these characters who have such complicated home lives and we completely remove them from that and put them in a place where they can be whoever they want, what happens?
Yeah.
Is essentially the concept of the show.
Yeah.
And that really sums it up.
And the context of that quote is said to Shannon?
I know. It's in the context of sibling incest.
I honestly could not believe it.
When you look at that quote in the context of the episode, it's really brilliant.
Yes.
Because it's like, first of all, you have Walt, who burnt the raft because he wants to stay on the island, and it's like he gets a new life here, and he wants to stick with it.
Yeah, where he doesn't have to move around all the time.
And then you have, you know, Sun, who wanted to run away from Jin, and then she thinks she's missed her chance at a new life, but then at the end of this episode you see that she has that when she like has the towel. And then you have Jin, who was desperate to run away but thought he could never escape his horrible boss, and now he's in a place where the boss can never find him, and he's been given a new life. It's like it all comes back around, you know?
As the ghost said last week.
Just as the food truck ghost said, it all comes back around.
As the boar ventriloquized. Yeah. Oh, man.
I just think
so true, but why is it said to Shannon? It's crazy, man.
And then it's the same thing, you know, later on. John's big speech, which like that, they're like, we're not the only people on this island.
They've murdered us, attacked us,
kidnapped us.
Yeah.
That is used. You're going to be hearing that a lot.
You are going to be hearing that audio.
Constantly.
Yes.
Like his whole thing of being like, yeah, we're not the only people on this island and we all know it. I'm like, oh my God, I've heard it so many times.
Yeah. I also forgot that was in this episode.
I had no idea, like, because I was like, if you'd asked me about that speech, I would have been like, oh yeah, it's used all the time. If you'd asked me the context, I would have had no idea. And it's like that, actually, it's a really interesting context in that, like, it seems like John just comes out of nowhere to make this big, profound speech to, like, protect Jin, and it kind of makes no sense, but then it's like the reason he's doing it is actually to protect Walt.
Yeah,
because he's saying clearly it was Ethan who burnt the raft, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
But the whole reason he's doing that is because he knows it was Walt and he doesn't want anyone to find out.
That's completely true, but I didn't ever think that he was trying to do it to protect Jin. I thought genuinely that Ethan had burnt the raft. But, well, not Ethan, he's dead.
Oh yeah, Ethan. Well,
but
the others.
The others on this island, you know, if Ethan is not working alone, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because you were going like, who could have possibly done it? Could John have done it? Maybe he was trying to protect himself. But it makes so much more sense that it would have been one of the others.
No, absolutely. And it's so
one
funny
of
that
them.
It's like, now as soon as Ethan's dead, they've all like eliminated that threat in their heads.
Yeah.
Everyone's immediately like forgotten about it and just gone, well, Claire's back and Ethan's dead, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not.
Not fine.
It's not fine. And it's like, yeah. And I think like, I mean, yeah, when I say like protect Jin, I don't necessarily mean because he's got camaraderie with Jin. And but it's more of a like, we all need to stop fighting with each other.
Yeah. Stop the infighting.
Because we're not getting anywhere with this. And that, like, the way everyone else reacts to that is really insane. That, like, Saeed, talk about Saeed being out of character in this episode. When Saeed's like, oh, Jack, this is between them. What?
I could not believe that. I was gagged.
I was like, he would not fucking say that.
This is between them. I mean, he kind of has, like, a whole thing with Sawyer, doesn't he, himself? Where he's like, this is our beef. But he also squashes that beef really quickly with, like, the apple thing and stuff.
Yeah, but also, like, it's not just their beef, because some of Saeed's beef is that he doesn't trust Kate to be alone with Sawyer because he's worried about what Sawyer will do. So it's not just their beef.
Yeah. True, yeah.
It's all just really weird.
But I don't know why he's like, let them to it. Let them have it out. Let them punch each other repeatedly.
I feel like the only reason that happens is because they had to, like, I can picture the writer's room being like, well, they have to fight. And everyone has to stop. And it's like if Sawyer's...
Everyone has to be there for the English reveal.
It's like if Sawyer's going to be like, stop it, Jack's not going to listen, he's still going to try and separate them. So it's like, who would he listen to? Oh, he'd listen to Saeed. But it's like, Saeed wouldn't think that, I don't think.
Yeah, but could it not be that, like, the two of them are going at it?
Just drop my
Do
pencil,
you
sorry.
mind? Could it not be that the two of them are going at it and then, like, everyone else is shouting and trying to get in on the fight as well, and it's like a big sort of cartoon brawl with the dust cloud and elbows coming out of it and stuff?
I feel like that would have been better, because the way that it was actually felt a little bit weird, because it's like, it was like 3 punches and then a big swell of music and then she yells. And I was like, I feel like there should be more.
Agreed. I mean, it's far more like the action, the violence that happens plus Sun's reaction is far more dramatic when Jin is the one attacking Michael.
Yeah.
Ages ago, you know, in the water and stuff, and she's
like,
screaming
yeah.
and everything. But this one, it was like, it was so bad that she had to reveal that she spoke English, but it wasn't as dramatic. I agree. It felt weird. Not necessarily underwhelming, but just odd.
Yeah, it was just kind of structured in a bit of a weird way.
But I guess, like, you know, there's no way, like, with the watch thing, she tried to physically indicate it's about the watch by pointing to her wrist. And
they thought that was about the handcuffs.
They didn't understand what she meant. But there's no way that she could, without speaking English, communicate that Jin didn't burn the raft.
And it's also like, at this point, they've all ganged up on him. So it's like, if she just takes Michael aside and says to him it wasn't him, and then Michael suddenly isn't suspicious of Jin anymore, that's more suspicious for Sun.
Yeah, and I feel like Michael's so angry he wouldn't even believe her.
Yeah.
He even says that, doesn't he? He's like, she could be lying. Or whatever. But anyway, we've gotten slightly ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, but crucially, what comes in between this, the scene where John talks about getting a new life and the scene on the beach, is the repeat of the bathroom scene and what we see of Jin beating up the guy.
Actually, so much happens in between those two scenes that I need to talk about desperately.
So, but I think if we take the context of that into Sun's account when we talk about Sun's actions...
Oh, absolutely.
It makes, you know, we can discuss.
So one thing that I really noticed on this watch through that I hadn't before, talking about the incredible televisography of this episode, one scene that I fucking loved this time around was when Sawyer is taking Jin like through the jungle at knife point, basically. You know, or he doesn't pull the knife out until later on, does he? But
he's like got him tied up.
I don't know if you noticed this, it's got him tied up, but the way that it was framed was a sort of quite continuously moving shots between Sawyer's eyes and Sawyer's mouth. Sometimes it would be out of frame and stuff, and like the way that it focused on his mouth really made you see it from Jin's perspective, because it's like he's trying to read his lips and figure out what he's saying. But he can't understand it, and so sometimes you can't even see the mouth. It's like, I've got no idea what he's saying because I'm just looking at his eyes, and his eyes are very intimidating and everything, and then I went back to the mouth and stuff, and I was like, wow, that is so fucking clever. Like the visual context cues, even though we know what he's saying.
It's crazy. And it's like, I think they do it very well in that scene on the beach, they do all suddenly start yelling at each other in gibberish.
In gibberish, yes, they do.
And that's really brilliant, because it's like, suddenly everything's so much more scary, because you're like, oh my god, I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
But that, like, doing it visually, I think is so...
Oh, chef's kiss, this is incredible. And also, I felt incredibly vindicated, because we're having another intra-podcast flashback, gang. Do you remember, lads, episode fucking 3 or something, ages ago, I think it was episode 3, when Sawyer he's crouched in the plane wreckage, going through the suitcases, and he's holding that torch to his face, and Jack's like, blah, 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 they have this beef, and Sawyer goes, we're in the wild.
We're in the wild.
And we had that whole thing.
Episode 4?
I feel like it's 3. It really threw me, because I had this memory of him not saying we're in the wild, of him having the torch by his face and going, it's Lord of the Flies out here, right?
Yes, I do remember you saying that.
And finally,
he said
20 fucking episodes later, we are here, and he says, he holds the knife really close to his face. Come on, it's the torch. And he intimidatingly, he says at the end of that scene, it's Lord of the Flies now. And I felt so vindicated. I was like, oh my god, it was like watching this show and seeing a little detail happen ages ago and then it coming to fruition without you even expecting it. I was totally blindsided. I did not even remember this scene where he fucking captures Jin from the middle of the woods, and it all comes back around. It came back in and I was like, oh My God.
And rather upsettingly, the reference is totally wasted on Jin, who has no idea what he's saying.
I know!
Like, if there was a time to say it, Sawyer, it was to Jack, because Jack knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They did, it came back in.
Oh, man. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it.
And so then, yes, we get...
So then we get the second flashback where they're having dinner.
Yeah.
Not second. 17th. I can't remember. What I mean is we get the flashback where he goes to the guy's house again.
The second visit to the guy's house.
Yeah. So they're having dinner, the phone rings, he gets called into the office, and there's the fucking scary ass guy.
Oh my God, the guy in the white gloves.
The way
it's the fact that he's wearing like a white jacket as well is very much he's gonna come back and that's gonna be all covered in blood, you know?
It is giving
it's
super
like
slick assassin.
It's like it doesn't even have to happen for you to know what's gonna happen. Like, it's just done really well. That guy's so scary.
It's terrifying. The way he's like pulling the glove on and it's all like low lit in that car, and he's giving the instructions.
You won't drive higher than the speed limit, you'll stay calm and you'll drive, and then we'll only be inside 2 minutes, and it's like, oh my God, clearly Jin's so freaking
juicy scene, yeah, because up until this point, it's not even been that shady, has it?
Yeah.
But
Jin
now...
was just told to send a message to say he's disappointed, and he's like clearly questioning things because the guy was so scared, and the guy said like, not in front of my daughter, and so clearly Jin was like, oh, he was expecting something worse.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that that's what the boss meant until he sees that guy.
And obviously we get like all of Jin's thought process here, where he's going, oh my God, this man is going to kill him. I know what I have to do in order to save his life. And it's like in that car, when we can barely even see it, and he barely even says anything, is when the switch happens.
Yeah.
And Jin suddenly becomes violent.
And because it's also he has to assert violence so that the guy in the white jacket is intimidated by him, because it's like when he like beats the guy up and then he goes to the guy in the white jacket, he says like he got the message, and then obviously they go back to the car.
Yes.
It's like he has to do that because it's like that guy might just kill him, you know?
Might kill him. Also, he needs Mr. Pack to be on his side, you know?
And, like, if he just locked the doors and gone like, you're not leaving, the guy would have just shot him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And like he needs to keep his job, and that obviously Mr. Pack respects this white jacket assassin man. You know, but that scene, oh my God, it was
unfortunately tainted a little bit by the German subtitles, but
yes, slightly. But yeah, that scene is so scary, and then the beating up is obviously so violent and everything, but he does kind of eat at the end when he goes, he got the message.
Okay, diva.
Suddenly we're in like a James Bond movie or something, like, it's crazy.
It's incredible. And it's like, it just like, I love that it's like, they're both, you know, all covered in blood when he leans in and just goes, I just saved your life. And it's like, and the guy knows it's true, you know?
Yeah, man.
And like, also, can we talk about that fucking stunt of when he throws the guy into like the pond and then jumps over the like flower bed and gets on top of him? I was like, oh, hello.
It's the beginning of his insane trained assassin stunt era. Because, you know, the way he attacks Michael, we said at the time, like, he knows what he's doing. Oh my God, and water! Parallel. Write it down. That's another parallel. Throwing the guy into the water.
Jin, something I love about Jin, I don't know if it's a character choice or if it's more of a just Daniel Day Kim being down for anything, but he does a lot of, like, throwing his entire body at a target. Absolutely. It happens a lot. It's like he throws himself at Michael when he beats him up. Saeed also, he launches himself at Jin and they both go into the ocean in that same scene. At this point, it happens a lot. And it's really funny every time. It's like brilliant every time. Every time I eat it up. Because I'm like, he's so committed to just being like, if this thing needs to happen, I'm putting my whole body into it.
His stunt double is just really enthusiastic. Like, the stunt double's been flown out to Hawaii and is like, yeah, let's fucking go.
Let's go, man. Yeah, I'll jump over that. I'll jump over
pumped.
that flower bed.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
I'm seeing the bathroom scene.
Oh, I know we kind of forgot about scenes that are so important to me, but we have to bring it back. Scenes that are so important to Ariel.
seeing that bathroom scene again for the second time, knowing what we know now, is so incredible, because it's like you've built up all this sympathy for Jin, and then it comes back to this moment and you almost flip back because you're like, wait, but this is really scary. And you remember how Sun feels about the whole thing, and it's like, oh my god, yeah. No, but this is horrible. Even though we know that he did it to save the man's life, it's like, it's still awful. And then the fact that it just continues for those few seconds longer,
and he's shaking. His hands are shaking and he's crying, looking in the mirror.
And it's like, he's done it.
Oh my god, my heart went. I was like, my stomach dropped. This scene was so beautiful and incredible and artistic the first time around. And the second time around is even better, because we see like exactly the same thing, but as you say, it's so different.
This is the thing, is it's like, other than that little extra bit of the scene, it's literally the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's exactly the same. But it's like, just knowing what we know now, it's so different to watch.
Yeah. And this time around, I was like, really, like, when I say like that this episode humanizes the villain, I don't think it makes us think that Sun is a villain in any way.
No, of course not.
But like the first time around, I was totally on board with her slapping him. This time, no.
I'm like, oh my god.
I was like,
yeah.
He's been through so much this evening, and of course he doesn't want to tell you about it because it's really, he's trying to process it himself and it's so horrible. And then you just fucking slap him?
Yeah, it's like, it's crazy the way it recontextualizes it all. It's
yeah.
like, yeah.
Oh my god, man, it's so good. It's so clever. And yeah, the acting is just brilliant. The shaking, the blood. Like, I fucking love this scene. And also to know, because you saw... Sorry, I burped because I got too excited. You saw the first time around the way how shocked Sun is when she sees all this blood on him and everything. And it's like, oh my god, you really start to become scared of Jin and everything. And it's like, that's the first time he's ever done anything like that.
That's not even... Yeah, like, when you watch it in the first instance, I kind of assumed, like, this is the thing he does. Like, when he says, like, I do whatever your father tells me to, I was like, oh, he's done this before. This
has been going on for a while, but he's just never come home.
It's the first time it's ever happened.
Oh, my God.
And so it's like...
The reason he's saying, like, I do everything your dad tells me is because he's trying to justify it to himself as well. He's like, I can't believe I've just done this, but I have to do it. Because... otherwise, you know, we can't be together.
And it's also like, ironically, he isn't doing whatever the dad tells him to, because the dad told him to kill the guy, and he didn't.
Yes. Oh,
it's just incredible.
God.
Everything about that scene is just so amazing.
So fucking good. Oh, I'm so glad we've gotten the chance to talk about it.
I know, when we were recording House of the Rising Sun, I just kept thinking like, oh, the scene in the bathroom.
I mean, House of the Rising Sun eats as an episode, but this one...
also incredible. Like, they're both brilliant.
Which one do you think is better?
Ooh, oh my god, that's a good question.
That's hard.
That's really difficult. I feel like, oh my god, I don't know.
I mean, the gag that Sun can speak English in the first one.
I would say, upon first watching...
Mm-hmm.
House of the Rising Sun is better, because finding it all out from Sun's perspective is so crazy.
Yeah, but then when you first watch this and you find it all out from Jin's perspective.
But I would say, looking at it as a whole, I prefer this one. Because I would say, like, if you'd asked me to give, like, best episodes, I would have brought up in translation. I wouldn't have brought up House of the Rising Sun. You know, that's what I'm going with.
I think I would have brought them both up, but yes, agreed. I think this one is better. I do, it's awful, because I do love the flashbacks in House of the Rising Sun, but I just...
But the thing is it's like, it's one of those things that it's like, this episode is so good because House of the Rising Sun is so good.
Yes.
You know?
You know that annoying argument that Dad has?
Yeah.
You know how dads just get, like, a hill that they'll die on? They just get really pedantic about one thing.
Yeah, so our father insists that the best Star Wars film, first of all, it's Star Wars. It's not A New Hope.
Oh, you're not allowed to call it A New Hope. It has to be called Star Wars.
And all the rest of them are called by their names. And the best one is New Hope, because without A New Hope, none of the rest of them would make sense.
It's bullshit. It doesn't even...
What?
What does that even mean? And he does it with other stuff as well. Like, I remember him going like, well, you know, the Beatles, without the Beatles, we wouldn't have had so much of modern music. And it's like, that doesn't make the Beatles better than modern music. Do you know what I mean? Like...
Just because the Beatles inspired current music doesn't mean I have to like the Beatles.
I mean, you just take it to its logical extreme, you know? Like,
oh, without Grug painting Bear on Cave, we wouldn't have Picasso. Okay.
So that has to be the best, or whatever.
So that means Grug cave painting is better than Picasso?
It's like, yeah, this Margherita pizza's great, but it's no berries and leaves.
I'm like, okay. Cool.
Doesn't make any sense. And yeah, so it's...
But I do think in this context...
However...
In this context, it works, because I think if House of the Rising Sun had been a shit episode, we would come into this, and no matter how good this episode was, we'd be like, well, yeah, but I don't really care about this. Like, it's the fact that House of the Rising Sun is so brilliant... Mm-hmm. That you're like, oh my god, I have to find out more about their life. You're so invested in their lives that when you get to this and you get to find it all out from Jin's perspective, you're so invested in knowing what his thought process is. Because it's also, you're like, you know, if Sun is so, like, she's at a point where she was going to run away, but she's still so, like, in love with him that she wants to protect him, that it's like, we have to see Jin's side of things, because we have to understand that he's still a person she fell in love with, you know?
Yeah. And how in love he is with her, even though it doesn't look like it. Yes, absolutely. So then, after all of that, is when we get the iconic scene of the English reveal. So we have the fight, which we talked about. And also I do think it's a bit weird that Jin doesn't fight back. He just lets Michael punch him and he just speaks to him. But I do think it's incredibly interesting that we never find out what he says. Mm. So, Sun interrupts the beating up to go, stop it, you know, leave him alone. He didn't burn the raft. His hands were burnt trying to stop the fire. We assume that's what Jin is saying to Michael. He's saying, like, I didn't burn your raft.
Yeah.
We don't know.
See, that's interesting, because I didn't assume that was... I assumed he was just sort of yelling angry insults at Michael.
But then how does Sun know that he didn't burn the raft?
That's a good point.
Because she then goes, why didn't you just tell me?
I assumed she just sort of figured it out.
Either
that makes more sense.
Yeah. So it's either he's saying in that moment, I didn't burn the raft, my hands, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she's translating, in translation. Or he's saying other stuff, insulting stuff, we don't know. Or maybe talking to Sun, we don't know. And she just gets up and defends him, even without knowing. Like, she could think he burnt the raft, but she gets up there and speaks English in front of everyone and says he didn't.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like she just, like, knew he didn't do it in the same sense of John's logic of just being like, why would he?
Well, also because she has to defend him because he's her husband and, you know, what would happen if she didn't and all of this. She's still quite scared of him and protective of him and loving of him and all of this. So I do think that is really interesting. But then there is like a bit of translating, isn't there? Because then they say, why did he run?
I love that, because it's like she is speaking for him, and obviously I think she doesn't really want to speak to Jin, because it's like when Sawyer says, like, well, judging by his face, he didn't know this. So, and she's like,
Jin's reaction is impeccable.
It's crazy.
Because he barely even moves his face.
Yeah.
He barely does anything as an actor, but it's just... Man.
And suddenly like, oh my god. And like, it's like looking at that in the context of like...
And everyone's so gagged.
Like, the implications of that from Jin's perspective is like, there's only one reason she'd be learning English. You know?
He knows.
He knows she was going to run away, you know? It's like, maybe he doesn't know the details, but it's like,
it must be because English? She could have just learned English because she wanted to, but she wouldn't keep it a secret.
Yeah. If she was just learning English because she's a bored, you know, rich girl who needs something to do with her time, she would have told him she was going to learn English.
Because Sun, she speaks English in that moment in order to protect him. But think about what she's putting herself into. Because now also everyone on the island...
No one trusts her anymore.
Doesn't trust... It's the traitors. It's... He didn't burn the raft. He's my husband. She's not a traitor. She's my girlfriend. It's literally that. It's the reveal. And then they're all like, how can we trust you? How do we know you're faithful?
That's it.
That's what happens.
But then, Kate and Michael, they're her 100%.
They are 100% faithful. 100% trust with my life. And the real traitor is Walt, because he's the one who burnt the raft to cause drama.
The real traitor is Walt. It's Walt and John.
Walt and John. That's when they're playing backgammons, when they meet up in the Traitor's Tower.
Take the hoods down.
Yeah.
And Hurley, I think.
Hurley's also a traitor.
Because Hurley also plays backgammon with them, and it's like, no, everyone trusts Hurley, everyone loves Hurley.
Yes, Hurley's the secret traitor, the one who's never going to get found out.
Everyone's doing the talking heads, and they're being like, oh, out of everyone, I think I trust Hurley the most.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
Like,
he could never pull that off, he's such a sweet guy. Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. And they're all like, so I'm really sorry, Sawyer, I'm voting for you.
I just don't think you're a traitor, I just don't like you.
It just doesn't add up, like, everything that you've done is incredibly sus.
But yeah, like, sorry, it's not my real name.
Yes! He'd be in the talking heads like, my name isn't even Sawyer. But he's a faithful, but he's lying for no reason. It's giving Charlotte. Yeah.
Kate, I mean, don't get me started on Kate's tactics.
Oh my god! Kate changes her name every scene. It's like, Maggie, I'm voting for you. Who's Maggie? What?
Jack is duped by everyone's game.
He's Cat.
He's the like, why am I still here?
He's the why am I still here?
He's like Joe. He's like, what? Because I'm not useful.
He's being protected, but he's good at the missions. He's good at the missions, though.
He's good at the missions, so everyone likes him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's not important.
I think it's very important.
But I think, interestingly, then we have the implications that Jin surely can unravel of why Sun's learn English. We don't know at this point that he was also planning on leaving.
Yes.
But, like, for him to find that out, it's like he wanted to leave, but also he now knows that she was going to leave without him. It's also like, can you imagine? Let's live in a world for a second. God. Enter this new world with me, in which Jin and Sun, the plane doesn't crash. Mm-hmm. Jin and Sun go to New York. They give the watch to whoever. And then Jin is like, we're going to run away. We're going to stay here in America. And she's going to have to be like, so here's the thing, I speak English.
What would she even do? Because at that point, I mean, she's come back, hasn't she, because of the flower and stuff, and she remembers. Would she just sort of break down and be like, oh my god, this is amazing, we can start a new life together? Or would she still try and leave him?
I feel like she would stay with him. Because it's like she had her opportunity to run away on her own, and she didn't take it because of her love for him. And so I think, like, she would stay with him, but I think it would be really difficult for her because she'd have to say, you know, I was gonna leave without you. And she'd have to say, but also it's like, objectively, it's a far more useful thing to be able to speak English in actual New York than it is to be on an island.
Yeah, I wonder if she'd keep it a secret, and if so, for how long?
Because, like, how would she, or would she just be like, oh, I've just picked it up really quickly. I don't know. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a really interesting concept, isn't it?
Yeah. You know the Pina Colada song?
Mm-hmm.
And the plot of
that movie
is like they both
create dating profiles to cheat on each other, and then they match on the dating website,
and they get back together.
Go on a date together, and they're like, "This is."
It's like the tragic version of that, isn't it? They both find out that they wanted to run away,
and now there's nothing they can do about it because the damage is done.
They don't reconcile, which I think it's mad.
But that, like, I think what we find in the scene just following, like, Sun still can't bring herself to tell Jin she was going to run away. Even though he might know, like, because she tells him in English. Mm. And I think that's so interesting.
That scene, when we were watching it this morning, I was tearing up.
It's like...
At that scene. And I, like, it really hit me today. the way that she switches into English for like, I was going to leave you. I think I wrote it down. I was going to get away, but you made me change my mind. You made me think you loved me.
And it's like...
And then she goes like, can't we just start again? I want to go back to the beginning.
And that's again, I want to go back to the beginning. Everyone gets a new life on this island.
Yes, and then within that scene, we get another mini little flashback, which is when we get Jin's dad introduced, and we find out that that's what he wanted. He wanted to go back to the beginning, whatever, and then we come back to the present, and he goes, it's too late. Crushed, devastated, oh my god. Literally
completely insane.
I would never have put that scene on the scenes that are so important to me outside of this. But after watching it today, I think it's got to go on there.
Yeah.
I think it has. 2 in 1 episode.
It is. It's crazy because it's like, yeah. First of all, finding out Jin's dad is alive.
Yeah.
And like, that's why he like, it's because it's like that moment is like Jin, after he beat up the guy that he was supposed to kill, obviously he's had a bit of a crisis and he's gone like, I can't keep doing this job, but I have to. And that, I think, is what prompts him to go to his dad. And that, like, that it's like, I was ashamed of you.
Yeah.
Is so sad. And that Jin's dad is just like, it's okay.
Yeah. You know what I was saying about, like, the sort of the normal world and then the sort of organised crime world?
Yeah.
I feel like Jin, he comes back and he connects with someone in the normal world, his dad, who just goes, well, it seems pretty simple to me.
He's
There's
like, the most
nothing
important
more
thing in your life is your wife, so you
Yeah.
should just do that. And I love that, like, he arrives in like the full suit and then immediately he's like got his sleeves rolled up and he's got the gloves on, he's like fishing with him.
Yeah.
It's like he's immediately stripped back down to who he was before.
Absolutely. Oh, delicious.
It's incredible.
Getting stuck in. Oh, and his dad's so lovely.
Dad's so sweet.
Oh, my days. A
Where
nice
he's
dad.
just like, oh, it's
in the
okay. He's
show.
not like, oh, I missed your wedding, what the fuck. He's like, no, it's, you know, your wife's the most important thing. And it's also the fact that he's like, go to New York, disappear. He's like, he might not ever see him again.
Yeah.
But he's like, you have to do it.
I'm grouping that flashback within the scene where Sun got me super emotional today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting that in the scenes that are so important to me.
I'm good with that. I'm on board
Because
with that.
as much as this is a Jin episode, it is also really about Sun.
Yeah, it's like a House of the Rising Sun is like Sun brackets and Jin, and
Yeah.
in translation it's like Jin brackets and Sun, you know?
Because also from the title, you would think, I mean, I kind of clocked in that this was going to be the English reveal.
Yeah.
But that made me think it's going to be another Sun episode.
Yeah.
It's a Jin episode, and you know, I love to see a Jin-centric episode. I love Daniel Day Kim on my screen. Come on. Oh, he's so gorgeous.
But it's just like, it's so... And then we arrive at what my tease at the beginning of this episode of my favourite moment.
Ooh, okay.
One of my favourite moments in the
Saeed
entire
and Shannon
show.
kiss.
It's the Saeed and Shannon kiss.
Who are you? What have you done with Velvet?
No, it's the moment where Jin goes up to Michael and he's got the bamboo and he says boat, and then Sun taking off the towel, because the thing that's so important to me about that is that Jin at this moment in time, everyone hates him. Mm-hmm. Everyone hates him. He now has, like, he's not talking to Sun anymore. He has no form of communication with everyone else. Any natural, reaction would be, well, that's it. I'm on my own. That's the end of it.
Saeed core.
In a Saeed sense, and also in like a Sawyer-y way, that Sawyer's like, well, I've made everyone hate me, I'm going to cut myself off now. But that's not what Jin does. What Jin does is he goes, he didn't burn the raft, but he knows that they need it, and he obviously wants off the island, and so he goes to Michael, who probably hates him the most out of everyone on the island right now, and he goes to Michael and he makes that connection, and he goes, we're going to make the boat together.
Yeah.
And it's like he's trying to communicate by himself.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so indicative of Jin's character that he does that.
Absolutely. He's a grafter. He's a hard worker by nature.
Yeah. That he's just like, he's not like, this is over, this is the end, my relationship with Sun. It's like, yeah, okay, the relationship with Sun might be over, but he's not just gonna resign himself to isolation. you know? Yeah. He's gonna still try. And then what we get from Sun is this moment of incredible freedom where she can finally, you know, be in her bikini and be in the ocean.
And you know,
she doesn't even have to worry about him anymore.
I even got a little bit of a chill today when she stepped into the water and she like felt it on her legs and she did like a little reaction to it being like cold or whatever. And I was like, wow, that's just such a beautiful moment, you know? And it's like, it's very much one of those, it's like, they're all lucky to be alive moments, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good like full circle moment for Sun where she's just like, you know, it's over. She's like, above all else, she doesn't have any secrets anymore. Yes. You know?
That's quite symbolic, the letting go of the tower.
Letting go, like everyone knows she can speak English and it's okay.
Yeah.
And like, she might not be speaking to Jin anymore, but it's like, things are gonna be right. Like, I think it's very much like a things suck, but they're gonna be all right kind of resolution for both of them in this episode. And I like that they kind of end the episode apart.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's like, that needs to happen.
Yeah,
you know?
it does. But it's devastating, but it's also good.
Because it's so upsetting, because of course they both want to try and they both want to start over, but I think part of that starting over is that they need to separate, you know?
Yeah, but it's like, you know, before this episode, we would have been like, oh yes, she's free from Jin, she's free, it's all good. But now I'm like, no, I love Jin, I don't want them to be together.
I know, it's crazy. And like, And
also there's a great outtake of that bit as well. Not the Sun in the bikini, the Jin when he swings that bamboo around, he hits the camera.
Smacks the camera with the thing and it goes like, ah.
But yeah, and like, the boat as well is iconic.
Boat, it's brilliant. It's just everything to me, that moment.
Yeah.
It's like genuinely one of my top moments of the whole show. Because I love it so much. And it's like, everything about the regeneration of it's almost a physical manifestation of what John's getting at. It's like, we all get a new life, we all get to start again. The raft is burnt to nothing and they don't think there's anything salvageable, but it's also like, Walt wants to help Michael build the boat, Jin's gonna help him, they're gonna do it together. It's like, everything's been burnt away and now they're starting again together, you know? And I just think it's really lovely.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And they all want to start over and like fix things. And I love the music montage, and also this is just the batteries running out in the CD player. It's so funny.
It's great.
Because it's like I remember like the previous music montage. I was like, surely that's dead by now. And then we got to this one and I was like, come on, this is like a movie thing. And then it was like, oh no, it's, you know, it's broken. And Hurley's just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. No, it is perfect. Because as well, like, you know, we were always a bit like, what these montages, they feel very, sometimes cinematic and wonderful. And also, I was going to say something, Jin going to help Michael build the raft right before the montage, parallel with Saeed throwing the apple to Sawyer.
Yes.
Parallel, write that down.
Very much.
Very much a parallel. They hate each other, but they got to get over it.
But they've just got to do it together. And it's very much what John's saying, you know, we need to stop fighting with each other and focus on the fact that we need to, like, there's outside threats. We need to leave the island. We need to be one, live together, die alone.
Completely.
And Jin has chosen to live together.
He has. I also want you to write down another parallel for between Jin and Sun both wanting them wanting to get away.
Yes.
Boom. Just so we're caught up on that.
Just so we're caught up on the parallel tally.
But yeah, so the montages, they feel, even though the music is like interpolated, like Hurley's actually listening to the music, they do feel quite staged and a bit like, come on, man, you know.
It's like at a certain point, like by the time we get to this one, we're like, another one of these.
And so they stop it at the perfect point, don't they? Where they just go, oh, now it's broken. And you suddenly brought back into that moment of they're on the island, they have limited resources. And I really like that it doesn't go, well, shit, da-dumph, end. Yeah. He takes the headphones off.
And they sit in that silence.
They sit in the silence.
It's like you're reminded, like, yeah, okay, the montage of the end of the day, but it's like, they're still all living there.
Yeah.
That's still their real lives. It's like when he takes those headphones off and it's like, and now they're all just experiencing their evening.
It feels like they've gained self-awareness. Do you know what I mean? They know that they're in a TV show. And it's like the TV show's not going to just stop, even though it is. But
after
anyway.
the episode ends, their lives still carry on.
Yeah. And you hear the tide a little bit and stuff, and you have some just ambient beach noise for a few seconds. And then I noticed when the Lost comes up, the end credit, no noise.
Yeah.
Silence. And I was like, that's cool.
I thought that was really nice.
That is cool.
No, I think the ending is really nice this episode. I think a lot of things about this episode are really
this
perfect.
episode is an absolute banger. So fucking good. Again, apart from the Saeed and Shannon, we didn't really need that in general. But other than that, it's just a perfect episode. It's just great.
It's just amazing.
So good, man.
There's one final thing we have to address about this episode.
Yeah.
And that is that in...
Oh, yes.
Episode 7, The Moth, Saeed is trying to triangulate the signal to get figure out where the radio tower is on the island. And he is smacked around the head with a stick and blacks out, and then all the equipment's been destroyed. And we were saying, oh, you never, you don't find out about it.
Don't find out for ages.
We were like, it's one of those things that you think you're never going to find out, and then suddenly it comes back way later. And I said I think it happens in 10 episodes. And so we've made it to episode 17 and it has not happened.
Yeah, we wrote down the prediction that it would be revealed in the previously on of this episode, that we would see the clip and it would go, oh!
And we go,
we're going to find out this episode. But there wasn't even a previously on.
No, which is interesting.
Just started.
So I would have thought there'd be a previously on of the sun stuff.
That would have ruined it though, in my opinion.
That would have, yeah.
It's because it's got to just resonate in the back of your head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to just remember. You don't want to see it and then see it again.
Yeah.
You need to
remember.
Have seen it months ago. So yeah, we still don't know. I can't believe it's been more than 10 episodes and we still don't know who hit Saeed on the head.
We still have no idea.
But it's interesting with the raft being torched in this episode.
That we get that resolution almost immediately.
Yeah, but it's also a kind of...
Could it be Walt?
Don't want them to leave the island. Yeah, it's I mean, I would be impressed.
So funny. If get up that high, really.
Walt was able to physically overpower Saeed.
Also that Walt would kind of take it on his own prerogative to run off into the jungle and smack Saeed around the head with a stick.
Yeah, that would be kind of wild. But it could be them. That we're not the only people on this island.
It could have been the other people trying to prevent them from leaving.
Because that's a perfectly reasonable explanation that, that's who torched the raft, because who else wouldn't? Yeah. I mean, we don't know why they wouldn't want the survivors to leave the island, but clearly they wanted Claire.
They wanted Claire for something. And we can assume it's something to do with her baby, because Ethan was injecting her with stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't really know.
We don't really know, and obviously none of the rest of them are pregnant or have babies, but they could still provide some kind of... We don't know what their motives are.
We don't know, and obviously Ethan is a very unpredictable man. Was.
R.I.P. King.
And was very much, violent and erratic, and it could just be, we said Jin doesn't seem like the kind of guy prone to revenge. Well, they certainly do.
And there are obviously all of our survivors of the crash are very complex people, but ultimately we do know that they all have the motivation to get off the island.
Yeah.
No one has that motivation apart from, we learn in this episode, Walt and John.
Who both are I like it here, I don't want to leave.
Yes.
And that could, that sentiment may well extend to other characters.
It might.
It's the only people we've been explicitly told.
Yeah, so it would make sense that because their motives are known, that the others' motives are unknown, it would make sense that their motives could be they don't want everyone to get off the island, hence the torching of the raft and the conking on the head.
Yes.
Hit from behind.
Which is what the cards call in the board game. Yes, I agree.
So... We didn't find out. I'm sorry, guys. We incorrectly predicted.
We do find out in this series.
I feel like it's this series.
But I don't know when. I can only assume it's soon, though. Because I think given the way some things have been set up. So rather than move directly on to episode 18, which is numbers, I believe, we're actually going to be having a brief intermission to do our first ever guest episode. So this is something we've been planning for a while. Essentially, we're going to be having guests on to talk to them about Lost and their experience in watching the show. And it will be a break from our regular style in that it will be there will be spoilers. We're going to talk about the whole show.
Yeah, because we're just doing it as more of like an interview thing. It's not like based around one episode or anything like that. Yeah, we're talking about the whole show with a guest, just so that you can hear their insights. We can discuss if we agree or disagree. Yeah,
we're going to debate some certain topics. We're going to ask them some fun questions. And we're going to, get a new pair of eyes on the show. That'll be our first one next week.
Yes.
And
stay tuned.
Week after, we will resume with regular programming.
We absolutely will.
For episode 18.
Yeah. So if you are we'll say this at the top of next week, I assume.
Yeah, we'll say this again next week.
Just to warn you now, if you are listening for the first time, if you're watching along with us. Wait, no, I said that the wrong way around, didn't I? If you're watching for the first time, if you're listening along with us.
Yes. Do not listen.
You might want to skip next week's. If you don't want to get any spoilers, skip next week's episode. Then come back to us for episode 18 numbers, which will be episode 19 of Lost All Caps.
Yes.
And then once we've finished the whole thing, you can go back and re-listen to the interviews.
To our guest episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be some major spoilers. We'll be talking about things like the big ending. As always, follow us on all the different social medias. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify...
Tumblr. How could you forget?
Lost All Caps podcast.
Follow me, please. Yeah, please follow. Follow me at Ariel Hebditch on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I'll be doing better gigs, okay? I promise.
Better gigs than the one from this week.
Things can only get better, as Professor Brian Cox once said.
Famously.
Yeah. I'll be advertising gigs, and you can. Hey, I mean, with your supportive faces in the audience,
we can.
I will only go on to achieve
ensure
greatness.
That Ariel never has a shit gig again. As I said, gar.lick.brad for drag content.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Hopefully we'll be back. If I don't end up.
If Ariel doesn't end up on the island.
Literally fighting Godzillas and
polar bears and
opening hatches and burning rafts and
we will see you next week.
Absolutely, we will. Catch us then for our exciting little interview. It's going to be so much fun.
Bye.